بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
First of all, what is debt? Debt is, in Arabic, it is called dain. It is an obligation to be fulfilled. It's something related to deen. The both are from the same root word. And when we know deen, what is deen? It's related to submission and humility towards Allah. So Prophet ﷺ says, your companion is detained by his debt. Now what does he mean detained? Debt. He means that debt holds back someone. Debt is not something good. Contrary to what our thoughts are about it, we see it as a simple thing. We indulge in it like it's a casual thing. We take money from our friends. When we don't have money, we give money. When friends don't have money, it's not a problem. But then Islam sees debt as something very serious. It warns us to avoid it as much as possible, because debt can be something that can lead to some things that we do not even know about as of now. Prophet sought refuge from it so much that when he was asked about it, Prophet said, men in debt speak lie and promise and break it. Now there is a hadith that Prophet said about a debtor. It was a revelation actually to him. When this thing came to him, he got so shocked that he was silent for the rest of the day and went back home. The next day, the Sahabas, fearing the reaction, when Prophet is so shook, that was the reaction in his face. When the Sahaba saw that reaction, they were shook themselves. And the next day, they only got to get the explanation the next day. The Prophet was so shook that he didn't speak the rest of the day. He went back home. And the Prophet said, a man was killed in the way of Allah. He was killed as a shaheed. And even if he were revived back, brought back to life, and killed again in the way of Allah as a shaheed, and again killed, again revived and again killed, 3 times dying in the way of Allah as a shaheed in the battle. And still, if he had money to be repaid, if he was a debtor, he would not enter Jannah until that is repaid. That is the severity of debts that we are indulging in everyday lives. Now, Prophet, we all know this thing. Prophet refused to pray janazah on a person whose debt were yet to be fulfilled, yet to be paid off. Now, it is said in a hadith that the soul of a person is suspended until debt is paid off. His debt is paid off. The soul, in another hadith it said, soul is held hostage in the grave until the debt is paid off. The trials in Akhirah, brothers, the trials in Akhirah can be very serious. We know that is a day when the mother doesn't care about her own child. And on that day, the debts will be settled. The debts, if they are not settled in this life, will be settled on that day. You know how? You will have to pay your equivalent of debt in good deeds. And if all your good deeds are over, you will take bad deeds from the person you owe money. That is the situation that you will be in if you do not take your debt seriously. Brothers, paying debt is something simple. Getting into debt is something simple. Now there's simple debts like 10, 15 rupees debts. Something small, we don't have to worry much about it. But then, we have to take serious, even if it is a rupee, and we have to make sure that we take the effort, and we have taken every effort to be conscious of it. We must know that it is a debt that we really need. We are putting ourselves in a situation that is very grave. We must realize that, and we must actually think, is it really necessary? And then if you get into debt, you have to make sure that you go to every length possible to make sure you pay it off as soon as possible. That is something absolutely necessary when we get into debts, and borrow only if it is necessary. The easiest way to keep track of your debts is mentioned in the ayah 282 in Surah Baqarah. Allah dedicated, if you must have known, the biggest ayah in the Surah Baqarah and in the whole of Quran actually is about debts. The biggest ayah in the whole of Quran is about debt. And Allah says in the very first line, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, idha tadayantum bidain, if you were to indebt yourself with debt, or if you were to get yourself into debt, ila ajali musamma, for a fixed time, faktubu, write it down. That's all we have to do. Write it down. Even if it is a rupee, even if it is 10 rupees, even if it is so small. And Allah even mentions that in the later part of the ayah. وَلَا تَسْأَمُوا أَن تَكْتُبُوا صَغِيرًا وَلَا تَسْأَمُوا أَن تَكْتُبُوا صَغِيرًا أَوْ كَبِيرًا. Do not hesitate, even if it is a small amount or big amount. Whether it is small or big, do not hesitate to write it down. Allah mentions it clearly in that whole ayah. The biggest ayah in the Quran is about debts. Allah doesn't clearly mention about salah, how to pray 5 times salah in this one. Allah mentions about things such as these, the important things that we are supposed to be looking into, the psychological part, the actions that we do outside Islam that interact with other people. Salah and all these things are within Islamic community. These debts and stuff go beyond these things, and your deeds actually matter. Because there's a story like this one about money, dealing with money that is not your own. A sheikh in US or UK, I'm not sure exactly, he got into a bus. He was going to lead a prayer. He was the imam of a masjid and he was going to lead a prayer. And this sheikh, he gets into the bus, and there's no conductor like here. We go and take the ticket from the bus driver. He paid the money, took the ticket and took the change and walked back. He didn't count the change. And he went back and he sat over there. And when he looked at the change, he saw that there was 20 cents extra. That's like saying 20 pice extra. Okay. Now the sheikh was confused. Like, did the driver did not have change that he gave me this one? Because they are doing it like every day, every moment of every stop they stop, they are doing this. It's not something that they can easily make a mistake about. So did the driver did not have change and did he give me extra, or did it happen by mistake? Now imagine going and returning money 20 paise to someone in this life. I mean, right now in 21st century, you go and return someone 20 paise. What will they do? I mean, what will be their reaction? They'll probably laugh at you, saying, "This is 20 cents, man. Come on, 20 cents? Seriously? 20 paise? Seriously?" That's the way people will react. But then this sheikh, he was continuously thinking about it throughout the journey. And then when he was about to get down, something came over him. He went and gave the money back. The driver replied, I didn't do this by mistake. I didn't do this by mistake. I tested you. This money, if you didn't return, I wouldn't have. I'm going to convert to Islam right now. I wouldn't have converted if you did not return, because this was a random pick test. Okay, I picked a random Muslim. I know you are in all the attire and everything, going to a. I saw you. The moment I saw you, I know you are in attire and everything. I understood. I've been researching Islam for 3 years. I don't know whether I should convert, because all the things that I've been hearing in media. From my research in Islam, I've come to know that it's not everything. I don't have to believe everything. But then, I thought, okay, I'll pick up a random guy. A person like you should be a very learned person. Let's see how you are behaving in a situation like this. And he tested him with 20 paise. The Imam got out of the bus and started crying because he almost sold his religion for 20 paise. That is the situation we are all in. Whether it is 1 rupee debt to a shopkeeper over there, they might not worry about it. But we should go down, take the effort to go down and return it to them. Whether you're buying they say that come next time, when you're coming next time, just pay it off. That's all. We might not even be going there for the next time. There are many situations like that. But then take the effort to go down and give it to them. At that moment, they'll realize, you come down only to settle a rupee debt. They'll see the reality behind the thing. They'll see how the greatness behind Islam. And that is what Islam reiterates again and again. Debt, however small, Allah says in the Quran, however small, write it down and do it exactly. And that is exactly what we should be doing. Writing it down. I myself do it. I came across this ayah yesterday only, but then I myself do it, writing it down. I use a whiteboard marker, write it down in a whiteboard. That's something very simple. You just have to write out the person you have to return and how much you have to return. And always do this. Of course, we'll also be giving money to other people. At any given time, try to make sure the money you are having in a debt is always less than the money you loaned out. You know, in that case, even if something happens to you, somebody looking at that thing, it's very public. Keep it public, and somebody looking at that, maybe your roommate, someone like that will go ahead, just tell him, inform him, tell him that, okay, go ahead and settle this debt. You know, that is something, it might be something small, but then that small thing might keep you from getting into Jannah.
محمد رسول الله